This is Broadcast Beat Magazine with Ryan Salazar.
Ryan Salazar here with Broadcast Beat Magazine. We have a special guest here today, Jim Jachetta, Executive VP and CTO of VidOvation Corporation. How you doing, sir?
Great. How are you, Ryan? Thanks for having me today. It's a real pleasure to have a chat with you today.
Well, thank you. We're doing good here, too. We're interested in VidOvation. Tell us how you guys got started and maybe a little bit about the company.
Well, I've been in the broadcast industry for about 35 years now, with the main focus being in broadcast, branching out into Pro AV and government type applications. My dad founded the company Multidyne, which is primarily involved in fiber optics. I've written several books on the subject of fiber optics. And then 5 years ago, I moved out to California, to Irvine, California, and started VidOvation. And our emphasis is on IPTV, video over IP, video over cellular networks, that sort of thing. You know, kind of a departure from fiber optics, more of a IP-based type of solution.
And could you share the philosophy of the company?
Well, the fundamental philosophy is to educate the client. You know, when we say we do marketing, we market through education. So on our website, you will see there's a lot of white papers. We try to do 1 or 2 webinars a month. We record them. We have them available for clients to learn. You know, we want to give something to the client first before we ask them to buy something from us. So our goal is to advance the technology, to educate the marketplace. So that's our fundamental philosophy. And at the root of that, you know, why do we do that? It's to solve problems. We see ourselves as a team of problem solvers.
And if you don't mind, if you could share some of the projects you've done recently with our audience, that would be really cool.
Sure. You know, on the subject of problem solving, anyone that knows me, one of my favorite topics, all of my clients are important, but one of my preferred subjects is hockey. And by hockey, I mean the National Hockey League. And the new season has just started, and one of our top 3 clients is the National Hockey League. And 4 years ago, the senior management of the NHL approached us and said, we have this problem with our game, and our refs do a great job officiating in and around the goal, you know, whether the puck is in the goal or not. But once in a while, they're out of position, or there's a player's body blocking the play, and they don't get a clear shot of the goal. They can't see the line, can't see the goal. So the NHL is like, well, maybe you can make something for us. Take a camera and one of your wireless links. And, you know, long story short, there was a list of issues. You know, there couldn't be interference. It had to be resilient to withstand a hockey puck at 105 miles an hour. It had to be water resistant. So there's a long slew of requirements, and we were able to meet all of those. And we developed the first broadcast application of 60 gigahertz wireless for the NHL, and we've just entered our 5th season with the Hockey League. So it's been a lot of fun, and at times I've been accused of being a little obsessed with hockey.
If you could, curious who well, that's probably one of your bigger clients. But, you know, I was curious of the types of clients you guys have. I assume it's a lot of broadcast folks. You probably have some post folks in there, right?
Yes. We've done some work with post, but kind of a contrarian type of application to the NHL broadcast. I see sports as a subcategory of broadcast. I think most people would agree with that. So we've recently done a big project with one of the major studios. We're still doing phase 3 and 4, and I don't want to mention the name, but it's one of the major studios here in Hollywood. And what they were struggling with the issue of how do we distribute our our video content, our movie content, our TV shows on the network. Executives, writers, they needed to see the content. They needed a means to archive and organize all that content, but then they needed a means to view it. They also wanted live TV. They wanted to look at their own content being broadcast, but certain executives needed to see ESPN during the day. Don't ask me why, but so certain informational channels are required as part of the business. If you're a major TV station, a major network, you need to see your competing networks to see if they've scooped you on a story. So you're not only watching your own content, you're watching the competition's content. So we designed and installed a state-of-the-art IPTV system. So this studio now is able to distribute live DirecTV to the desktop. There's options. There's for future expansion to stream to smartphones, tablets, and mobile devices. But right now it's to the desktop and to TV monitors. And we've done one of their campuses, two of their studios, and there's talks of tying the whole corporation together, getting all of their television content, whether it's live or pre-recorded or archived, all contiguous on one IPTV system. So that's a very exciting project for us as well, more on the corporate side or the media side. I wouldn't really call that a broadcast application. It's more of a corporate multimedia type application.
And Jim, I saw on your website that you guys mentioned Zixi. I've heard of the software. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Zixi is a very great piece of technology, but as you mentioned, it is primarily a piece of software. It usually resides on an encoder, a decoder, or a server. So the magic of Zixi is if you already have transport streams. In other words, you're a major broadcaster, you have banks of encoders, banks of decoders, and you want to communicate New York to LA, but you want to save costs. You don't want to have a dedicated telco network. You want to go through the public internet. So Zixi is all about making the public internet as reliable as satellite or as reliable as telecom. That's their mantra. And VidOvation is a partner and reseller of Zixi. Now, if you have encoders and decoders, we would sell you, it's a server basically, a 1RU appliance that would take your streams and wrap them in the Zixi transport stream. And what Zixi does is it adds its own flavor of forward error correction and ARQ, or automatic request for sends, but it has intelligence. It's not blind. In other words, my picture today, I have a lot of white in the background, but if it's a football game and there's movement, a ball being thrown, the Zixi will add priority or add more redundancy to the pixels that are moving or changing, as opposed to a static background. So there's intelligence behind it. It doesn't add redundancy and robustness where it's not needed in the image. So there's intelligence behind it. And if you're starting out fresh, you would get a Zixi-enabled encoder and decoder. That helps control costs. Now, Zixi has a number of different partners. VidOvation is a reseller and an integrator of Zixi. We happen to work with VTech. It's a Belgian company. They make great products, great engineering. VTech has partnered with Zixi to bake the technology into their encoders and decoders. In the past, Zixi users love the technology, say it works great, it works 100% of the time or 99.999% of the time, but it's expensive. And Zixi now has listened to clients, and they now have fixed cost solutions. VTech even absorbs a lot of the cost now. When you buy the encoder, it's baked into it. So if you're interested in Zixi or any kind of a reliable transmission through the public internet, give us a call and we can design a system for you. Work with your existing encoders, or we can provide you encoders that will support Zixi.
Another thing that's really popular in the industry, and it has been for several years now, is bonded cellular. I'm sure you could go on that a little bit.
Yes, actually, that's a great follow-up question, Ryan. Uh, what Zixie's doing is very similar to what a lot of the bonded cellular products do out in the market, and they're using proprietary means of forward error correction, automatic re-request to send, and then combining that with bonding together multiple paths. So in the case of the product that VidOvation represents, we represent a French company called Avi West, or if you say it with an American accent, it's AVI West. It's a fantastic product. It's a product designed by broadcasters for broadcast. It can take up to 10 cellular modems, 2 LAN connections, a BGAN, Wi-Fi, and bond all those circuits together into one fat pipe. You know, the fundamentals of bonding is taking smaller pipes and bonding them together into a fat pipe. And the transmission device, I actually happen, oddly enough, I happen to have one right here. The units have high gain antennas in the top and bottom, which give it better range than your traditional cell phone. Traditional cell phone, you remember the antenna gate with the iPhone? You know, you couldn't hold the phone a certain way; the calls would drop.
Right.
Because it's got a lousy antenna in it. I mean, I love my iPhone. I shouldn't say it's lousy, but you know, the antenna is not. It's for a product with the word phone in it. Phone is probably its weakest feature. But anyway, so this has high gain antennas for the 10 modems. There's a little door here. That holds the SIM cards. Other devices, you have to take them apart to change the SIMs. There's a little door. You can change out your SIMs. It takes HDMI in, HDSDI in, line level audio in. It obviously spits out over the cellular network, or plus the 2 LAN connections and Wi-Fi. Plus, it has an ASI output. So if you have a SAT truck nearby and you want to give it a feed, it will send a H.264 feed over the ASI. It's got the ability to do IFB. You can plug a headset in to talk to the talent.
Wow,
it's a great little device. And so you know, it's like a portable version of Zixie is one way to look at it. And then you need a 1RU receiver in your master control to take the individual streams over the different cellular networks and bond them together. And there's buffering involved. That's where a lot of the magic happens. You know, the packets all come in out of sequence. There's different latencies through the network. The latest firmware revisions of the product now, we have the latency down to 1,500 milliseconds, or 1.5 seconds, which is amazing. You can do an interview easily over a few seconds, and 1.5 is pretty good. You can add external antennas if you're in a vehicle. There are these magnetic. I got them back in the stock room. I didn't bring one of them out, but so you can hook external antennas. So that's a hot product category, and we'll have the unit on demo at the CCW show in New York in a couple of weeks.
Well, excellent, and Jim, we'll certainly see you there. One last thing I wanted to touch on a little bit. You know, you guys mentioned some stuff about IPTV on your website. So you get involved in a little bit of that as well?
Yes. So the magic of IPTV is the middleware, the software. A lot of vendors claim to have IPTV. One weak point with some of our bigger players or bigger competitors, which we don't mind them having weak points, is their set-top boxes are very expensive and they're temperamental. They're unreliable. We've standardized on the Amino set-top box. It's an inexpensive piece of hardware, but it's very reliable. There's no moving parts. There's no hard drive inside of it. And we put our special firmware on the set-top box, married with our middleware, and then our server head-end software, and that's how we deliver live TV on the network.
Very nice.
One caveat one problem that people run into a lot is it's very common now these days to want to distribute Dish Network or DirecTV through your IPTV system. And if you want high definition, both DirecTV and Dish use a form of encryption called Proidium. And Proidium is, well, you know how it is in broadcast or any industry. A problem makes an opportunity. Because of Proidium, people need our help. And we've come up with a solution that will get DirecTV or allow DirecTV and Dish Network to turn off Proidium. The purpose of Proidium is to protect the content. It's to make sure that the rights holders are protected. So, you know, Universal Studios or Sony Studios, if their content is stolen or if there's a security breach like we know recently happened at Sony, encrypting the video when it's being distributed is very important. So, in order to distribute it through IPTV, we have to get the Proidium turned off. No one can distribute the video if the Proidium is turned on. So we have one of the few digital rights management systems approved by DirecTV and approved by Dish Network, so they will turn off the Proidium. It's just paperwork. You know, oh, you got the DRM system that we need. Great, they sign off on it. So in a lot of cases, that's been the bottleneck, getting the proper digital rights management system in place in order to distribute live TV. Again,
Jim Jachetta, Executive VP and CTO of VidOvation Corporation. Thanks so much for spending some time with us this afternoon.
Thank you, Ryan. I look forward to seeing you at CCW. Thank you so much.